Did you see the tits in my face? Did you see like...
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Today I am joined with...
Mike Harlow.
What do you do?
Oh God, I don't even know anymore.
Rude.
I'm a writer and I act and I have a YouTube channel and a bunch of stuff.
He's very controversial.
Apparently.
So you are a gay, cis man.
How dare you? Yes, I am.
And I'm a transgender man. We'll just touch briefly on dating and relationships as people like us. Do you feel that it's hard to date?
It's so hard to date. It's not just me, but it feels like anyone I know who's gay or LGBT. I mean, I don't know about trans, but at least in the gay community, it feels like today there's just no esteem for relationships or love or anything. I always say it feels like we have, in this gay culture, it feels like we have the right to marry, but not the right to love.
Ooh. That's a good one.
It's just all about this lifestyle of party your life away, do all the drugs, bang everyone, don't have relationships,
Right.
and then be shocked when you're unhappy at 40.
Right. Do you feel like the lifestyle gets promoted and pushed too much and like
Yes.
over-sexualized instead of just being a person within a relationship and not having the gay status as the overall identity?
Yeah, I feel like, first of all, I think Grindr has warped people's minds. I really think it has. And I mean, I'm a hypocrite. I'm on it. I'm, a whore. But, no, but I think it has really just warped people's minds. I genuinely think it's like the worst thing to happen to gay men since, like, AIDS. Because I think it's not normal to have that much I think it has changed the way that we interact with each other, the way we see each other. That it's just instant gratification and nothing else. Even if you only wanted to hook up, even if you were the biggest whore in the world years ago, you at least had to go out and have a conversation with someone. On Grindr, you don't have to exchange a word with somebody. You could press a button that sends them a map to your place, send them pictures of every orifice of your body, and you don't have to exchange a word with them. And I just think it's not natural, it's not normal, it's not healthy, it's not good for anyone. And it seems like that's the way, it really feels like relationships have just become a thing of the past. And oh my God, you know what freaks me out the most is like on all of these apps, they'll say they want someone to, I can't even say this word because I'm allergic to it, but they'll say that they want someone to cuddle with. And I feel like that says everything because it's like when you cuddle with someone, it's supposed to be spontaneous. It's supposed to be because you like each other, you're in the moment. So them having like planned out, scheduled cuddles is just everything wrong with the world.
Cringe.
What's that been like for you? I don't know, because for me, like, it's hard enough being gay and dating that I don't know, I would imagine it would be so much harder being trans, but there's so many more things to add to it, like when do you tell them, you know?
Right. I like straight women, straight cis women. My bad.
Not saying.
And so it's always nerve-wracking for me having to tell someone because on site, they don't know that I'm trans. It's always, oh, how are they going to react? And I tell them, and it's always the same answer as, oh, I had no idea because of the made-up misconception of what trans people look like. And then it's about, basically, am I going to get rejected or not, and how is it going to play out? So since coming out as transgender and transitioning, it's been easier for me and myself to put myself out there, but at the same time it's always a fear thing too in how someone's going to react.
I feel that so much just being gay, fear of how they'll react. You're too old or you don't look exactly like one picture of you that you look good in. Like for me, for example, I feel like I'm older than, I'm like gay 70. So because they're so obsessed with being 19 and I'm not 19. So even with that, it really creates all these insecurity in you that I don't have my age posted anywhere on all my Tinder and all my apps and stuff. So it's for me, I sort of feel like I want them to meet me before they judge me based on a number or they judge me based on whatever.
Right.
So I would think it would sort of be the same thing being trans, that you're like, oh, just meet me before you count me out because of this one thing.
Yeah, the stereotype that people trick people and don't like not disclose your trans identity to someone beforehand, and I just feel like I could never do that because I'm just uncomfortable thinking about that.
I feel like that basically doesn't happen.
Right, it's always just the
I mean, there are a couple
stereotype.
weirdos everywhere, but like I feel like that's not like
Someone
a
has
widespread
asked me-
thing.
Right. Someone has asked me, "Oh, do you tell people that you're trans before you date them?" Like, obviously, that's the first thing I'm
Do you
saying.
tell trans people you're an Do you tell people you're an asshole before you date them?
Or do you wait for them to catch on?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, because how is that going to progress? I'm hiding something, and you're going to find out anyway. Like,
Yeah.
there's no point in doing that. Then it's like, oh, so your girlfriend's gay and stuff like that. But, like, no, I'm a man. The community tries to make it seem like it's that hard to date, but in reality, if you just do it, it's not as hard as they make it out to seem because of the whole like victim stuff. If I'm comfortable enough to tell someone, then I'm comfortable enough to be told yes or no. And
Yeah.
It doesn't make you transphobic. It's just on to the next for me.
I think you just said something really interesting, is that it's not that hard for trans people, which makes me wonder, because I feel like it's just, maybe it's me, but it just feels, or maybe it's being in New York, I don't know, but it just feels so impossibly hard meeting someone or finding love or relationships being gay. So I almost wonder if it's because maybe trans people haven't had the same toxic lifestyle pushed on. Because here's something that I think is interesting, is that like, if you look at the gay men that you know, how many of them are in stable, happy, monogamous relationships? I can think of one person that I know. None of them. But here's the thing, if you look at, or even other things with gay men, like the rates of addiction and sexually transmitted disease, all these things these statistics and numbers are skyrocketing. But what I think is interesting is that if you look at gay women, if you look at lesbians, they don't have any of these problems. When was the last time you saw a lesbian who's addicted to drugs and just clubbing her life away and hooks up with everyone? I never see that. And I really think, and you know, part of that could be just differences between men and women, but I think it also is because gay women have not had this toxic lifestyle pushed on them from every corner of the gay community, told that this is fabulous, this is cute, this is what will make you happy, this is what you're expected to do. And the proof is in the pudding, I think, of the results. Like, I don't know, I think there's sort of a spiritual crisis amongst gay men today, that I think many are just not very happy, and I think that some gay men start to get older and realize that they've been sold a false bill of goods.
Would you date a trans man? Choking.
No! Okay, what's that guy's name who was on the cover of Men's Fitness? Do you know what I mean?
Aiden Doling.
He's hot. Like, I'm sorry, what person would turn him down? I would not. So, like, you know, being honest, could I see that? Probably not, but I wouldn't automatically judge someone and discount them just for that. I would get to know them.
Right, because we're attracted to masculinity and femininity, and not just pronouns.
Oh, God, yes.
Like, would I date a trans woman? Probably not.
Okay.
It depends. Like, I don't know. Like, femininity comes with secondary and primary sex characteristics that straight men are attracted to, like breasts, a vagina, and no, just because a trans woman might not have that, I'm not saying she's not a trans woman.
Oh.
I'm just not attracted to that organ that is biologically male or female. I've never been in a situation to judge, so
yeah,
I can't go right off the top of my head, but based on what I've been through, I can have an opinion.
Yeah. The only time I've ever sort of been in that situation was it wasn't what I would consider or assume to be a trans man. It wasn't like somebody like you. But I was at a party with all these people that I used to be friends with who clearly don't speak to me anymore. But obviously, but these very liberal types who work at BuzzFeed and live in Williamsburg and all that. And there was this, I'm sorry, but what very clearly appeared to be a woman there who said that she's, I guess, beginning to transition or something, becoming a man. giant knockers hanging out, like wearing a dress, they were pushed up, they were in my face. And she starts hitting on me. And I tried to let it drop into conversation that I'm gay. She keeps hitting on me and then kind of asks me out. And the thing is, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I'm never going to say, like, oh, it's because you're whatever. So I just said, oh, I'm sorry that I'm flattered, but I'm in a relationship. And that was cool. It's the end of it. She had no problem with that. So anyway, though, afterwards, this gay guy who is not transgender, this bitchy gay guy, comes up to me and he's like, starts yelling at me about this. And I was like, that was really wrong. Why did you reject him? Why can't you go out with him? And I'm like, because did you see the tits in my face? Did you see, like, physically a woman in every way? And he says to me, he's like, well, I just don't understand because you've probably hooked up with guys that you're not super attracted to, so why should he be any different? I'm like, wait a second. So I don't have to just go, I'm not just required to go out with him. I have to fuck him too? So, and this guy like stormed off and called me a transphobe and stuff. I'm like, you are not entitled to anyone else's body.
Right. Preferences are discriminatory now in this day and age.
And like, don't be an asshole for that. Don't be like, oh, you're trans, I don't want you. But just like, be a decent person.
Right.
But
change the narrative.
What I think is really interesting is they don't realize that what they are saying is that sexuality is a choice. That being gay is a choice. Because if I could just choose to be attracted to tits and pussy, I'd have done it long ago. So I don't have to date these horrible gay guys. They're awful. Nobody would choose that.
The line gets blurred again with sexuality and gender because of the movements going on.
And they're not blurring it.
So you have to like this person because they say they're this. And that's not how sexual attraction works. Just because someone says they're something, like that's true, that may be true, but if you're not medically there, how can anyone take you as for what you are?
And I think what's interesting in that experience of mine too is that like the trans person or whatever didn't have any problem with it. It's this non-trans person who's very upset. Mm-hmm. And that's always how it is.
Yeah, because they are forced to comply to everything that the trans movement wants. And so people follow it and they become the biggest speakers for the trans community, the cisgender males and females, and try to tell trans people that they're transphobic, and you should just let people be, and you should be open to dating this person and that person. Just because they're trans doesn't make it any different. And like, I understand like the equality part of it and everything, like for being for everybody, but at the same time, we like transgender people are like, we're not different, but there's a difference in physicality.
And I feel like it's crazy that they want to ignore that difference, but it's not a bad thing. It's just different. It's not better or worse.
Right. It's like for that one person that rejected you, there's going to be 1,000 others who will not reject you. Yeah. So why are you dwelling on the one person that doesn't want you? Why would you want to be with that person anyway?
Well, it's the same thing as like with the gay community, you know? You got to make that cake.
Oh, man. Right.
Not to go down a whole other road, but
that's another whole video.
Yeah, to be continued.
You have the right to bake a cake, but you have the right to not bake a cake. Yep. Facts don't care about feelings. Feelings care about. For me, I don't know much about like dating as a trans woman, but from what I see, I feel like through like the sexistness of viewing trans people, I feel like as a trans man, it is easier to date than date like a straight girl than if a trans woman is dating a straight man, because of the automatic sexism of like, oh, he must be gay, and like the pressure of that. But being a man, you're more like attractive to the opposite sex because you appeal to the characteristics more, or like girls are more accepting of it and seeing you as you, and people around them seeing you as you. So I feel like that is like, it has its pros, and then like for trans women it might have its cons. Yeah. At first hand, like, oh, I'm transgender. Oh, that's cool. And then like it's fine after. Like they're fine with it.
God, you gotta have some of your like good luck rub off on me.
No. But then the people suck. after that. It's not about if they're transphobic.
Yeah, they're
It's about-
they're just assholes.
It's about if they're assholes and it doesn't last. That's the
I
whole
love
thing.
that.
People,
I love
it's
that.
like you worry so much about that, like if they're transphobic or if they're gonna reject you, but then that's fine, and they don't, but then they end up being everything worse than that.
Wow, I never thought of that. I love that. That's such a good point.
Because then at the end of the day, you're just in a regular relationship. It doesn't matter what you are, or like if you're both attracted to each other and like each other, but then you're in a relationship and people are still gonna be shitty. People suck.
No, but I think what is important is I think there are starting to be a lot more people like us who are rebelling to the status quo of LGBT alphabet soup thought.
I've heard people who are not aware of trans people and like what they look like and the transition aspect of it, and people are just confused on who do they date. Like, do they date other trans people because it's like its own separate thing? It's like, no, not at all. Just a regular, everyday person dating whoever, and because of the misconception of transgenderism. So that's it for this video. I hope you got something from it, something positive of substance. And thank you, Mike, for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
He's amazing.
Awesome.
His channel is my favorite thing ever.
Oh, I love you.
His videos are great. Watch them. Click down there. And yeah, thank you.
Love you.